Thank you for joining us on Talking Dementia Tuesday. My name is Edward McNanama. I'm the manager of the Reitman Centre at Mount Sinai Hospital. With me today, I'm very lucky to have Jenny Carr. She's an occupational therapist, also at the Reitman Centre at Mount Sinai Hospital here in Sinai Health System in Toronto. Jenny's an occupational therapist and does psychotherapy as well at the Reitman Centre. Very pleased to have you today, Jenny. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, happy to be here.
So we're going to talk about vacations today because we often get a question from our clients. They often wonder about taking their family member with dementia on vacation. They have a lot of different reasons, motivations for why they're going on vacation. Mainly, we think of vacations of a time to recharge the batteries, to relax and take care of ourselves.
Yeah, and that I think the thing that's important to remember when one is a care partner of someone with dementia is that the vacation isn't always a time to relax necessarily.
Well, you are the person with the caregiver has a lot of stress because they are responsible for another person, and responsible for another person sometimes, depending on the stage of dementia, the 24 hours.
Absolutely. If a person feels, if a care partner feels like they're on duty all the time at home, for example, and that's often what I hear, then being on duty 24 hours a day in a place that's not familiar to them and to their family member definitely increases the level of stress for them, or it can quite easily, instead of being a decrease in the level of stress.
So where we are always encouraging caregivers to do self-care. And one would think a vacation would be self-care, but it sounds like in this situation it isn't, or may not be.
It just depends, and I think when this comes up, I talk about, with the person, we talk about having to adjust expectations, and what is their motivation for going on a vacation. And I think in normal circumstances, when people are healthy, the motivation, of course, is, as you said, to recharge batteries and to relax and to get a break from the everyday. But circumstances have changed, and with dementia, the everyday can be quite comforting for the person with dementia.
Right, the routine is actually quite comforting for a person with dementia. But vacation is not routine. It's a lot of spontaneity, and you want to do things that are out of your routine to help you recreate yourself and relax.
Absolutely.
But that can be actually quite stressful for the person with dementia.
Yeah.
But what if, though, it must be hard, though, what if it's something on a bucket list? Like I always promised I'd bring her back to Australia, or he always wanted to do a wine tour of the south of Italy. And what if it's something on the bucket list, though, and they want to take their person with dementia on that bucket list?
Right, and this
vacation
does come up, and this, I would say that these are plans often that the couple have made when they were younger, and what are we going to do when, what we can do when our kids are all grown up and we have some extra time on our hands, we have some extra money on our hands, or it might be a child care partner, like, oh, my father always said that he wanted to do something like on the bucket list, and with these and the child has promised that they will do this, but there's a feeling of guilt that starts to come up.
Obligation, guilt.
Yeah, if they can't, if they start to think, this isn't realistic. And what I talk about with people is, when were these plans made? Like, what kind of circumstances were these plans made under? And most likely,
or when these promises were made. Let's do this. When they made these promises, the person was cognitively intact, healthy, and could probably enjoy the trip.
Well, they probably could take part in planning it, and even in, and also in discussing what they'd like to do, and discussing afterwards too, like highlights.
I think that's something people don't actually really realize, that vacation is wonderful, but the memories of the vacation are also something that are cherished. And that's something that what you're talking about here is that the person with dementia can't participate fully in the planning of the vacation, may not fully enjoy the vacation in the same way that they had before, and afterwards the kind of the rehash of the vacation or the remembering of the vacation is not there.
Right, and these are often conversations that are used to plan the next trip. Oh, this was really great. We could do more like this, or we're never going to do that again. And that kind of joint conversation.
That's sharing.
Yeah, it can't happen in the same way.
It's a loss, isn't it?
Yes, it's the conversations and the planning are definitely a loss in the relationship. I mean, this was
it's
something.
a change in the relationship that really, but brings up what we did a Facebook Live on ambiguous loss, and it reminds me again of the same idea. It's not something that the person is there, but they're not participating in the same way. They're not sharing. They're not planning. So it is another loss for the person, for the caregiver, for the relationship.
It is, and a lot of the work that I do in counseling or therapy with a care partner actually does have to do with holding this sense of loss with them, that there isn't an easy fix to this. It's that allowing people to talk about this loss and their grief, and it's a process of mourning in a way.
And that idea now of them having to be responsible for someone all the time is so stressful, and it's different. That's not what the relationship was like before.
It was a joint relationship of equals. I mean, not equal in every way, but there's a partnership in planning vacations often, or discussion, reminiscences. Even weekend trips to visit children can be hard to remember for a person who has dementia, and it's a sense of loss when the spouse says, well, how was that, like, what was the best part of the trip to see our daughter, and the person with dementia can't remember it.
It's almost they were on vacation alone. They weren't with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what do you mean we went away? They often can't remember at all.
Would you say never? The person with dementia should never be taken on vacation?
Well, I'd never say never.
Okay. I guess there are situations like, what if it's it's a family event, like a wedding, or that they wanted to go to, that they heard that this grandchild is getting married and they want to go to that event.
Yeah, and that's a really good example, because there's sort of pressures internally to go and attend. There's a tradition. We've always done this in the family. We always get together. There's pressures externally from children or brothers or sisters.
It's supposed to be a big reunion.
Yeah. There's so many pressures, and so in feeling those pressures, it makes sense to think about, where are these pressures coming from, and what is my motivation for going to this? So I don't say never go to sort of a family event, or to a service club sort of reunion, or university reunion, that kind of thing. But to know that it's going to be quite different than it would be if the person did not have dementia.
So it may not actually be a relaxing time. It may not be.
It may not. I think the thing is that it almost certainly will not be relaxing for the whole thing. There might be moments. I think that there's joy, and there's sort of pleasure that arises to see your family member connecting with people that they know.
Seen for a long time.
Yeah. And it is stressful. It can be very stressful if one is on duty all the time.
On the time. It's a new environment. Okay. But it sounds like the caregiver has to weigh out a lot of things, a lot of pros, like pros and cons for going on a vacation with a person with dementia, and pros and cons of not going on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And also whose needs are being met with vacation, and what are and like you said, the expectations. Are there a lot of external expectations, a lot of societal expectations or family expectations that you to go on some event or some vacation that also has to be taken place?
You don't want it to contribute to burnout. Like that's kind of the opposite of what you want from a vacation. A vacation, as we're saying, is sort of supposed to be a chance to step back and, smell the flowers and enjoy a bit of downtime. So adjusting expectations is so important.
I guess when someone is going on does decide that they're going to take someone on vacation, I noticed the Alzheimer's Society Ontario has a very good website, sort of practical tips that I think you could recommend, perhaps?
Absolutely. If you do decide to do that as a care partner, they've got practical tips. I want to say, I have heard of people taking successful joint vacations, and it's situations where it was very well planned out in advance.
Okay.
And so the people, if they were going to meet, that they were not the only person going on vacation with their family member. There was sort of other people at the destination or even traveling with them who...
Sort of a caregiving team.
The team knew what the condition was of the person with dementia.
Plan that. They have to plan that beforehand.
Right. There's no one else to. There's no one. And again, this goes back to the care partner always being on duty and always, who's doing it? Well, it's back on my plate.
Yeah.
Very
so again,
stressful.
With it.
For some people, I think the other thing is that the team of people who are there at the destination, if they can sort of know that on the spur of the moment, the care partner may need to be relieved. They may need some respite themselves, and
so you almost have to have some sort of secret code to say, take over for me.
Yeah, I need a breather now.
So the tag team.
So putting yourself first as a caregiver, what do I need in order to have my family member be safe all the time and have them sort of be able to participate in the vacation. And you can see how for some people they decide, in order for me to have a vacation, I'm just going to go by myself, or I'm going to go with a friend or another family member, and the person with dementia may stay they may stay at home in a respite situation. Yeah, and that may be the way to truly recharge and to take a break, even if it's a staycation.
Being able to stay home and enjoy your own home in quiet and not have to look after somebody else might be quite relaxing. But I guess there's also some guilt that some caregivers will have with that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And more and more their home, like a person's home, may not feel like their home.
Right.
There's this person who, their spouse is living in it, and it's not the spouse who's able to join them in the same way and experience the world in the same way that they were, some years ago.
Right.
So having a vacation in one's own home actually can be
relaxing.
Just as good as a going away vacation.
Or better, it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's not the same planning or expectations that are going with it. So it sounds like we have to wrap up now, Jenny, but it sounds like some of the key things that we've talked about, that it is stressful to be responsible for another person all the time, and that you have to really examine your motivation for a vacation. What are your expectations? Are there other people's expectations that are compelling you to go somewhere that may not actually be good for you as a caregiver at this time?
Right.
And as you said, never say never either. There can be some situations that they have to go to an event. Thank you. So there was the Alzheimer's Society Ontario website. Yeah.
Yes.
That's their practical tips. There's also more information on our website, dementiacares.ca. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, you're welcome.